Good afternoon, everybody. Court's over with for the day. Get you guys an update, tell you what's going on. We had an awesome day today. We still haven't, everybody hasn't came out of the, some of the lawyers are meeting with the defendants and having some meetings, so everybody hasn't came out, but the court is officially over. Just waiting on everybody to come out of the courtroom. We had a great day today, an awesome day. The highlight of our day was Butch Eaton. Butch Eaton's from over in Burns, Oregon there. He was the former fire chief and that resigned back there right during the protest time back in January of 2016 at some point. We had a total today of about 5 witnesses. So we went through right now, the government has called 6 witnesses all total. We had Greg Britzing, the former FBI agent that's in charge of Oregon, that was in charge of the protest or that investigations that during that time. He started out with testimonies yesterday, and they finished up with him today. Then we had Andy Dunbar. He's the rancher that took money from the FBI. Him and his son both took $2,000 apiece, and he claims that he was not an informant, but he just gave them information and let him use his barn, his vehicle, and things like that for investigation purposes. He was our second witness for the government. Then Chad Kurgis, he's the refuge manager out there. He also testified today. We had Jeff Rose. He's a BLM. He's a BLM agent officer that works over part of most of Harney County. He has about 94 employees that he's in charge of. He was our last witness today. Just before him, we had Agent Walker, FBI Agent Walker. FBI Agent Walker, if everybody remembers his name, he was in the courtroom and testified in the first trial. He sits in the courtroom all the time. So he was, he's been sitting there as a court observer, part of the defense team, and he also testified last trial and this trial both. So we feel it's impartial. It's wrong for him to testify when none of the other witnesses are allowed to be in the room. But he's continuing to be able to be a witness and be a part of this trial. But anyway, he testified today. He things that are of interest with these FBI agents that's been testifying. The things of interest is they have a short-term memory when it comes to answers that the defendants want to ask them. And it's really obvious. And I think it's obvious also to the jurors. They cannot recall anything. They cannot remember anything that they're asked. Dozens and dozens of questions on both sides of any of the defendants, of either one of these agents, they do not recall and do not remember. They do not keep notes. It's always someone else's fault that's under them, and they don't recall anything. Agent Walker, he was asked about how many informants were at the refuge also, again this time. And he said there was a total of 9. They asked him some names, and he said he didn't know none of them by names except for 3 of them. And the others, he only knew of them by numbers, and that was the only way he knew of them. He didn't know any nicknames, any names, or anything that he could give up. Some of these things, I think, can be found out that they're lying. They know more than what they're saying, and they're refusing to give this information up under oath. So the 3 names that Agent Walker knew was Terry Linnell, John Kilman, and Mark McConnell. Them are the only 3 names that they've been given up on the stand so far. We'll get back to Butch Eaton. Butch Eaton did awesome. Butch Eaton, he won this case today. Absolutely did awesome. He stated under oath today that he stated under oath that he wished he was like these defendants. He said they're heroes to him. he said he wished he'd have stood up. It took somebody to come from out of town, from Nevada, Idaho, all over other places to come stand up for the Hammonds when it was his job to stand up for the Hammonds. And he said he wasn't man enough to do it, and he wished he would have. Butch Eaton is an awesome guy, and he did excellent for these guys. He helped win this case today. His testimony was crucial. And we got to understand it. He was called up 2 times now, last trial and this time, as a government witness. And he's testified both times honestly, and he's testified that under oath, truthfully, for the defense team both times as a government witness. They did last time, they called him a hostile witness because of the things that he testified about. He testified truthfully. He said he went to the refuge the day of, on January 2nd, when they all went out there. He went there, and he wasn't man enough to stay there, so he walked away. And he left the refuge. He walked about 3 miles till he can make a phone call to his wife to come and get him. Butch is a great guy. We appreciate his part in this that he's done. For just his testimony alone, he has a great part that he's playing in this whole role, and we appreciate him. He wore a tie, the American flag tie today, and he had a pocket Constitution in his pocket. Even pulled it out at one point and said, this is why these guys come to Burns, Oregon, is because of this Constitution and because of the Hammond family. So it was really an honor to get to shake his hand again today. And Butch gave me a hug just before he went in to testify, and he broke down a couple little times during the testimony. You can tell it was very emotional for him. Even the first time he testified in the first trial, he broke down too. So it was great. I was hoping Butch would come out. I know Butch is somewhere close by. He said he would give me a talk to me afterwards, but he might have had to rush off. But it'd been great to ask him some questions. We maybe can catch him again some other time. So again, today, we are done officially for today. We're going to be back tomorrow. Is there going to be court tomorrow? Court on Friday? I don't know about Friday yet. I don't think there's any court on Friday. I know there's court tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Back down here at the courthouse. It's right behind me. We'll be back down here with more witnesses that the government's bringing in. And they're pretty much doing the same thing they did last time. Besides the rancher, everybody is government employees of some sort that's coming in and testifying. And so far, they have not been able to prove that any of these guys impeded any officers. That was not what they went out there for. Even Butch admitted that he was never scared of any of these guys. He felt totally comfortable. He went to the meetings. He went to town hall meetings they had at home, at the school, and he was never uncomfortable. One thing that I did forget to mention about Butch is that Butch said the FBI come to his house and interviewed him, and they threatened him. Instead of giving him a business card, they wrote down their name on a piece of paper and said, we want to put our name on this piece of paper. We don't want to give you a business card just in case something happens. And they said something happens to your family or happens to you because you don't cooperate with us. He said he felt threatened. He felt that his family's life was threatened. And it scared him. And it shouldn't happen by the government. He proved to the jurors today that the only ones that are impeding people was the federal government trying to keep witnesses, witness tampering, threatening people. And that they're afraid for their family and their lives, and this has happened multiple times throughout this case. So again, it was an awesome day. We had with Butch Eaton's testimony, the defendants and everybody's excited down here about it. They feel like this case is just won just with his testimony alone again today. It was FBI intimidation. They've intimidated several witnesses throughout this last trial. And it's proof again. This time it's coming out on the stand again. So I see a lot of messages coming in here. I'll try to catch a few of them as we continue here. They they did bring up the Hammond situation several times. They're trying to prove that the Hammonds were not charged as terrorists, even when they read it in court that they were charged under the Terrorism Act and sent to prison for a second time. That got brought up several times today. And but the FBI agents keep saying it wasn't terrorism that they were charged for. They was charged with arson, but it was under the Terrorism Act. It's the exact same thing that they're trying to charge these guys with, trying to treat them as domestic terrorists when these guys are not. They were standing up for fellow Americans. So if I'll still look for some questions here from anybody. Hi, Susan DeLumas, good to see you. Brianna Bundy, Bonnie Backus. It's I seen another friend on here, Jerry and Ashley Jones. The FBI does need abolished. The BLM needs abolished. These federal agencies have been bullying and being a tyrant for a long time to the people, until these ranchers and these cowboys stood up a couple of years ago and again there in Burns, Oregon. People have been afraid to stand up because they know that this is what would happen. They'll be in court. Butch Eaton said that today. He said on the witness stand that he should have been one of these defendants. He was too scared to stand up, but he knew that this would happen, and he wished he had stood up. And he's glad for these guys. He's honored. These guys are his friends here. So it was an awesome day today. I know we have some more awesome days coming up, some great days. This case is unfolding quick, and it's the truth is coming out. We had a courtroom full of FBI agents today that are watching the case every day, observing. I don't know if they're trying to learn from their mistakes or what they're there observing for, but they're taking a lot of notes. And we had a pretty good crowd today. We was thankful for them, but we can always use more people. If you're out here, we haven't hardly had anybody down here on Patriot Corner this time. I've been inside pretty heavily taking notes and doing reporting, but hopefully sometime next week I can start being down here a lot more. We do have some fantastic ladies up there doing court reporting too, but we need a presence out here so that Portland knows we're back, Oregon knows we're back, and knows that we're here for another not guilty. So I know it's going to be a long 2 or 3 weeks here, but I feel very energized by what's going on in there and the truth that we're hearing. There's a saying that's up there in the courtroom that I wrote down here. Try to flip to that page. I've got so many pages of notes. I'm not really a note taker, but I did about 22 pages of notes today, which isn't like me. So I'll try to find this saying that's up on the wall. Give me just a second here. I might not be able to find it. The walls on the courthouse up here have so many things wrote down on them that are interesting, and it seems like this court has forgotten these things. It says truth never hides in dark corners. And that's what we've been finding out. I thought that was awesome. Truth never hides in dark corners. The prosecutors in the first case tried to hide the murder of Lavoy Finicum. They tried to hide the Constitution. They was trying to cover up this stuff and not let it be brought up in court. They lost last time because of some of these things, and they're still trying to cover up things this time. They did not want the deal of the not guilty verdict in the last trial brought up, and one of the defense attorneys for Dwayne Emmer brought that up, that the FBI agent Britzing was he was unhappy with the first verdict, and that he was disappointed in that. He said yes, he was unhappy with that. She said you didn't testify in the first trial, but you're testifying in this trial because you want to make sure these guys get found guilty. Isn't that right? And he said yes. So it's obvious that they are not happy with the jurors' verdict. that they want to find innocent people guilty of something they're charged with that's wrong. Conspiracy to impede federal officers is the main charge here. That's total lies. And we're going to be proving that in the next couple of weeks here. And we're going to obtain another not guilty verdict. And I'm for sure of it. It's awesome to be a part of this. And in Nevada also, they're going to have court starting again on Monday. And we're going to show the world that there is justice out there. So keep praying for us. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for standing with us. We'll have you another update tomorrow about noon. And again, this is the federal courthouse I'm in front of down here in Portland, Oregon. Thank you, everybody, and God bless.